Where is God? If I go forward, God is not there, or backward, I cannot perceive him. On the left he hides, and I cannot behold him. I turn to the right, but I cannot see him. Job longs to find God, to appear before God, to present his case, and to hear God's answers. But finding God is the problem. God is nowhere to be found. God, it seems, is absent. Job expresses what many of us experience. Why is God sometimes so hard to find? Why is God silent when we need God most? After his wife died, C.S. Lewis kept a journal in which he recorded his experience of grief. A passage bears an uncanny resemblance to Job's experience. Where is God? This is one of the most disquieting symptoms. When you're happy, so happy that you have no sense of needing him. If you remember yourself and turn to him with gratitude and praise, you will be, so it feels, welcomed with open arms. But go to God when your need is desperate, where all other help is vain, and what do you find? A door slammed in your face and a sound of bolting and double bolting on the inside. After that, silence. You may as well turn away. The longer you wait, the more emphatic the silence will become. There are no lights in the windows. It might be an empty house. Was it ever inhabited? It seemed so once. Why is God so present, a commander in our time of prosperity, and so very absent, a help in time of trouble? If this is familiar to you, then know that you aren't alone. Many have traversed this terrain before. The great Welsh priest-poet R.S. Thomas wrote about the absence of God. He said, I never thought other than that God is the great absence in our lives, the empty silence within, the place where we go seeking, not in hope to arrive or find. We only know God's absence because we're seeking God. God's absence doesn't mean a lack of faith. In another poem, Thomas says, it is this great absence that is like a presence, that compels me to address it without hope of a reply. It is a room I enter from which someone has just gone, the vestibule for the arrival of one who has not yet come. In this great absence, we wait and fling out our questions. Perhaps it seems there's no reply, yet the very fact we still pose our questions suggests that somehow, somewhere, God may respond. Paradoxically, to search for God is to find God, a presence in absence. The absence of God suggests the presence of one who has been there, but now, it seems, has moved on. And frustrating as that may be, it corresponds to the spiritual experience of many who reach out to God, but find that God eludes them. God, it seems, can never be fully grasped. All we can be found are tantalizing hints of God's presence that have been left behind. In faith, we reach out into the darkness and are occasionally rewarded by glimpses of God's imprint, hints of where God has been, or perhaps where God might soon arrive. That's the image Thomas offers us. It's a room I enter from which someone has just gone, the vestibule for the arrival of one who has not yet come. To become aware of God's absence is to become aware of God's presence. Absence and silence don't mean nothingness, but rather the mysterious presence of God as we try to reach out to God, a presence and absence. To have faith is to continue to believe that we can catch glimpses of God. What I'm trying to describe is worlds away from those who are totally certain about God's actions. Those like Job's friends who have all the answers and tie God down to a neat theological package, believing that others should fall into line and accept their interpretation. But Job is a man who is searching for meaning in the face of suffering, searching for God. The book of Job reverberates with questions, but the friends find all this questioning very threatening. All they can do is regurgitate stock answers, expecting Job to conform, and when he doesn't, they correct him. But Job will not be silent. He keeps up his questions. Of all questions that we ask, the most searching is why. The psalmist cries it out. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from my help and from my cry of distress? Oh my God, I cry out in the daytime, but you do not answer. It's the question that Jesus uttered from the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me? Here's the Son of Man, the Son of God, the Word made flesh, abandoned, forsaken. And for the moment, there's no answer, nor should there be. I've found that why isn't seeking a ready answer any more than it wishes to be silenced. It's a passionate cry of anguish from the depths of a person's being. It's about striving for understanding. It's the beginning of a search for meaning. When you hear that question asked, don't try to problem solve. Don't offer some neat, tidy answer. Instead, allow the question to be asked and to hang in the air, and for the one who has uttered it to know that it's been heard and accepted. Faith must always be brave enough to ask questions. We ask, where is God in this? What's the point? Why me? And perhaps just asking the question is enough, at least for the moment. I wonder sometimes if the thing we need to do is simply keep asking questions as Job did, asking them over and over until God begins to reveal God's self through the ways we are changed by the answering silence, by our willingness to confront the absence. Then gradually comes a new trust, as it did for the psalmist. Our ancestors trusted anew. They trusted and you delivered them. They put their trust in you and they were not disappointed. Suffering, loss and grief, pain and heartache, they come to us all. And as it does, may it be like Job, we have the freedom to ask the questions and rant and criticize and complain to God. For there's one thing we know, Jesus did just that. As the writer of Hebrews reminds us, now we have a high priest who is able to sympathize with us, who knows how it is for us, who has been tested as we are. Let us therefore approach the throne of grace with boldness, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need.